Do not be put off by Lady Fran. The general has quite the edge to her, but it is only because she wants what is best for the resistance.
I've finally come to accept Beckoned is gone for good, but I will never forget how he met his end. I cannot allow my hatred to consume me as it did him.
Fran is not too bad, once you're on her good side, her only good side being her backside, but you didn't hear that from me.
Hurry, hurry. If I don't tell someone of our adventure quick, I'll positively burst. Cupo.
Do you seek passage to the Prima Vista?
Let me tell them, Kaneko time. Let me, Cupo.
There is no question that Ivalice once stood atop the lands we now call Dalmasca, but with the passage of time have remnants of those eras past faded beyond recognition. If only the great library at Rabanastra still stood. My knowledge is limited, but if there is aught you wish to ask. I have no issue with Ramza's unexpected change of heart, just with how it actually came about. I fear it might be the auracite playing with his heart, Kyoko. I sensed a surge of ether the precise moment he came in contact with the necklace, though, that surge has since passed, Kyoko.
Where have you been? In Rabanastra? With Mont Blanc? Why didn't you tell me? How am I supposed to report on something if I'm not there to see it?
This woman asks much of us.
The V-era have ever been wary of outsiders. For centuries their many tribes have remained hidden in the jungles, content with their self-imposed solitude. Each tribe has its own strict code and will meet swift punishment to any who would defy these laws. As such, many a V-era will spend her entire life bound to the territory of her ancestors, both unwilling and unable to venture beyond its borders. And while the tribes are wholly independent, they have agreed to uphold a single standard: shun all contact with the outside world unless it is to protect the jungle. That said, with every generation there are those V-era who long for a life beyond the verdant sea of trees and abandon their tribes to start a new life in the kingdom cities. My guess is that this Fran is one such individual.
Who also happens to be the only individual we know who can guide us to the monastery, Cupo.
It seems Kanekotine's sword arm won't be enough to see us through this predicament. She'll need to don the right mantle of a diplomat if we're to convince the alliances and the East Aldnar Trading Company to grant us aid. What could go wrong?
Yes, I know you said not to call unless it was urgent, but this is urgent. Alright, not exactly, but my superiors have come to a decision on your request, and I thought you might want to hear what they had to say. Oh, and let me preempt any request for immediate disclosure with a reminder that the information is much too sensitive to discuss over link Pearl. Meet me at the Ruby Bazaar post haste and I shall duly apprise you of their judgment.
Well then, K-Neko-teen. What are we waiting for?
It saddens me that I cannot be of any aid. You have every right to think me weak, K-Neko-time, for I am. At least now, I might admit it.
Has my brother been behaving? And here I ask this already knowing the answer, Kyopo. I pray for your success, K-Neko-teen. Not because I am a man of religious tendencies, mind you. It simply feels like the proper thing to do in these sorts of situations. Now, is there aught you wish to ask of me?
A trip to the Ruby Bazaar. Will there be refreshments? No. Well, then count me out, Kyopo.
I've read about how you united the whole of Eorzea under a single standard and convinced the Holy See to end a 1,000-year conflict. Compared to that, asking for a few soldiers and a coffer or 3 of gil should be a piece of roll-and-berry cake. I suppose we should inform Guijai down at Kubane Landing of our progress. You mentioned he was to keep an eye on us.
The device is operational, but its ethereal output is still far below what could be deemed optimal. I shall require more time to calibrate it.
The V-era possess a beauty that cannot be matched by other races. Yet how they stalk the jungle in those stilettos, perhaps we will never know.
I've informed Guijai of our situation. We are ready to make for the Ruby Bazaar when you are.
Fran is not too bad, once you're on her good side, her only good side being her backside, but you didn't hear that from me.
I've finally come to accept B.A. Ganlan is gone for good, but I will never forget how he met his end. I cannot allow my hatred to consume me as it did him.
So you've an answer from East Aldnard already? Impressive. It would seem the Lady Fran has underestimated your influence amongst the realm's players. I assume you have no objections to me joining you then.
Greetings, honored madam. Will you be entering the Ruby Bazaar offices?
Few have a deeper appreciation of your daring do than I otherwise. I should never have entrusted you with my life during our explorations. The eagerness with which you hurl yourself at even the most fearsome of Mononoke does give me pause, however. Have care that you do not grace false halls before your time.
Whenever you are ready, Kaneko team.
Hancock awaits us in the bazaar. Shall we, Kaneko team?
A lovely lady and a banger. And here I was expecting you would be alone, Kaneko time. But excuse my manners. I am Hancock, representative of the East Oldenad Trading Company assigned to oversee her assets here in Kugone. It is a pleasure to meet you.
And I am Yugathi. We apologize for making you come all this way. Not that it is far from the landing too, ahem. Weijai, was it? I serve Lord Hien, rightful ruler of Doma. I have come bearing our nation's reply to your entreaty. And I am Tatarutharu of the Science of the Seventh Dawn. I'm only here seeing as no one else could be bothered. Well, that and to bear a message from the leaders of the Aorzean Alliance.
Thank you both for coming. I am Weijai, formerly of the Dalmascan Royal Fusiliers. I now claim allegiance to Lentes Tiers, a resistance group seeking to accomplish what you have in Doma and Alamigo. What tidings have you brought us?
Allow me to begin then. While the East Oldenad Trading Company sympathizes with your plight, we are not in a position to grant you the funding you seek. As you are aware, the East Oldenad Trading Company prides itself in its neutrality, be it in matters political or personal. And what of our relationship with the Aorzean Alliance? Yes. What I meant to say was, here in Hingashi, the East Oldenad Trading Company prides itself in its neutrality, be it in matters political and, You must understand our position. Simply supplying coin to any one group would make it appear that we somehow favor that group over another. Seeing as we conduct business openly and fairly with everyone, doing such would be sending the wrong message, and ultimately harm profits. Yes.
And by selling to both sides, you maximize profits while good men and women perish. How convenient.
We are a business, milady. We do what we must to survive. That does not mean, however, we are blind to the needs of our customers or our allies, which is why we support the Aorzean Alliance and their noble efforts to safeguard their realm's freedom through a mutually beneficial arrangement. If it were my choice, I would provide your little resistance with all the funding it needs, but as my good friend, Kaneko Time, knows all too well, it is not my choice.
Well, now that Hancock's thoroughly lowered your spirits, you won't be as crestfallen when I inform you the Aorzean Alliance will also be unable to provide any assistance.
And let me guess, you did everything in your power to try and convince the leaders of each city-state, only to watch as they politely declined our proposal, claiming an unfortunate lack of intelligence or resources.
Wait, how did you? Lord Hien sends his greetings to you and yours. Having recently found strength through a newly formed alliance with our neighboring nations, Doma is open to further welcoming like-minded organizations. This includes our Dalmascan brothers and sisters still suffering under the imperial yoke. However, word has it that the latest attempt at reclaiming your kingdom ended in failure, resulting in the loss of countless lives, including many of the resistance's leaders.
You are not mistaken. Our army is not what it once was. Those remaining have been forced to take refuge deep beneath the streets of Rabanastra.
The IVTH Legion has already defeated you once. Lacking unity and leadership, the current resistance will not survive another tilt against the Empire's disciplined ranks. If Doma is to join hands with Dalmasca as an ally, you must first prove to us that you will stand as one.
Doma as a full-fledged ally would serve far better to strengthening our cause than a few temporary soldiers.
Yet even if we were able to wrest Dalmasca from the Empire's grasp, without unity amongst your people, the resulting chaos could prove even more perilous to the kingdom.
You understand much of our situation. And based on that understanding, you would refuse your aid to Lente's tiers, am I correct?
Do not mistake me. Lord Hien's refusal is but a message to help you plan your next step.
You have a wise master. He understands that without proper planning, driving one enemy from your midst simply creates room for the next. Lady Fran will no doubt be pleased to hear that your response was exactly what she expected.
You knew this whole time that your demands would be rejected, yet still you let this farce play out?
You have my apologies, but this was all necessary to prove an important point to our leader. Lady Fran needed to show the princess just exactly what she was getting herself into, and your honesty today will serve us better than any hollow promise. Thank you.
Wait. What about the Galmari jungle? Can you believe this? We're right back to where we started. Principal Jenomis will not be pleased.
Do you seek passage to the Prima Vista?
If it is as you say, it is most unfortunate. But, I suppose we did everything in our power, and that is all one could ask.
I still do not understand. Why would Lady Fran send Kaneko-tine on this wild pacer chase if she knew from the start it would be for naught?
Wait, I mentioned something about Fran proving a point to their leader, whomever that may be.
People in positions of power can prove both naive and stubborn creatures. Simply telling a leader she is wrong may not convince her of the fact. Seeing one's own plan fail, however, is oft the best medicine.
Naive and stubborn? Then the resistance is doomed.
If a person as imposing as Fran is taking orders from her, then chances are this leader is even worse, Cupo.
I would not be so certain, Mont Blanc. My guess is that the individual in question is still quite young and inexperienced, and that Lady Fran is trying to teach her to be an effective leader through example. By allowing her to make her own mistakes, Fran is granting her the ability to learn and grow from them, an experience that will ultimately benefit her when the time comes to make some truly difficult decisions. Now, I seem to recall reading that one of the many faces of the resistance before the recent quelling was a young girl of royal blood. Do you suppose?
You may cease with your baseless presumptions, defector.
The door was open.
And you would be?
I would be here on orders from the leader of Lente's Tears. Against my better judgment, mind you.
Greetings. Lady Fran, I presume. I am Jenomis Lexentale, principal of the Majestic Theatre Company. You and your colleagues are most welcome on the Prima Vista. What is it your leader would have of us?
While you failed in meeting even a single of our demands, she recognizes that you were sincere in your attempts to see them fulfilled, and for that effort, you are to be compensated.
That is most generous.
The ruins which you seek are hidden behind a waterfall here, a point roughly equidistant from the river's source and its delta.
You have our thanks, Lady Fran. We will not forget this kindness. Father, I shall plot a course immediately.
Ramza. What is going on here?
Alma. You should be in bed.
I've slept enough, brother. Tell me, who are our guests?
It appears you once again prepare a leap into danger's maw. Keep your wits about you, Kaneko-tine. Lady Fran is strong, but then again, so was B.A. Gamnon. Ah, if you'll excuse me.
Are you mad? A trip to the surface in your condition?
Listen to me, brother. The High Seraph beckons. She speaks to me through the Otius.
The what?
There is no need to worry. Mikoto and I have already devised a plan. I can help clear our family name.
The Charlatan has no say in this. I am your father and I insist you remain here on the airship. What would your mother say if I allowed aught to befall you?
Mother. That is what this is all about, isn't it? What it has always been about. You care not about Ivalice or the Oran name. No, you only seek to use the auracite to bring Mother back. But you haven't been able to do that. You still do not understand how exactly it is that the shards translate one's desires into reality. That is where I can help. I can ask the High Seraph. It is she who created the auracite. Ultima has bid me come to her place of imprisonment. If we free her, she will reveal unto us the secrets of her creations.
Do you hear what you are saying, Alma? Even if there was the slightest chance of bringing Mother back, we cannot risk your life in doing so.
Your brother is right. We have sacrificed too much already. I cannot bear the thought of losing you. Either of you.
It is too late.
I'm so lonely, Father. Why must you love Ramza more than you do me?
Do not be cozened by your daughter's words, for they are not her own.
Help me, Rams.
Alma. No. No.
Gods forfend.
I told you. No one can control the power within those shards. No one.
K-Necotine. Here, take this. It might be the only thing that can save Alma, but we must hurry to the monastery.
Come. We leave for the Gomorrah jungle, now.
I told her this was a mistake, and now look what has happened. If you were wise, you'd toss all the remaining shards into Hell's Lid and cut your losses. But you've no more wisdom than B.A. Gambin. And that's why the High Seraph has already won.
Was the power I sensed beyond the rift, was that the High Seraph?
I think we saw enough to prove that Ultima is no angel, Kyopo. But if she's not, then what is she? I've been such a fool, and now I've lost my daughter. Will you ever forgive me, Tia?
I cannot believe what I just witnessed. I won't believe it. I won't. There. It didn't happen.
I have good news and bad news, K-Necotine. The bad news is that it appears the High Seraph was able to employ the Odious as a catalyst to propel her magics beyond whatever seal she is trapped behind. The good news is, this means my device should function as intended. Its design is based off of one of Moonbreed's, It repurposes the logic behind her etheric siphon into a means of disrupting ether flow by reversing common wavelengths and let us just say it has already been calibrated to match the energy emitted by the Odious. As long as Ultima continues to wield the Odious, we should be able to interfere. But it only works if we can find Alma. Which is why we must make haste.
What do we do? What do we do? We cannot just leave poor Alma to become one of those monsters, Cupo. Have I your permission to depart, Kaneko time? Every moment we tarry here, my sister, Chi. Then hold on. I've set engines to full speed.
Welcome to the land of my people. 'Twould be a poor lie if I said I did not miss it some.
Alma.
Ramza. Help me.
Alma. Ramza.
Blood of the invokers. Fulfill the ancient covenant, and grant unto me the vessel promised.
What just? Guijai, to me. The girl is not well.
Might I suggest we continue this back at the Prima Vista, Cupo?
Have you the courage to face true evil?
What are you gawping at? The ship is this way, Cupo.
You rescued Alma only to watch as Ramza was taken in her stead. Promise me, Kaneko time. Promise me you will see this right.
Yes, it would appear that Ultima has abandoned Alma, only to take possession of her poor brother. But riddle me this, Kaneko team, what type of being would require a mortal vessel? Correct, one without a corporeal form of its own. So the true question is, then, now that the High Seraph has won in Ramza, what exactly will she become? More thu than Idzo in Rut, yet powerless to save Ramza from a fate worse than prop building. If my muscles cannot prevent such misfortune, then, pray, what are they good for?
It has been made obvious that the auracite is beyond our control, beyond your control, even. Its power must be contained, researched, and managed, and there is only one who might accomplish such a task.
You have returned with Alma. What a relief. Wait, is there someone missing?
I see Alma is back, and none the worse for wear. But now Ramza has gone missing. When will this all end, I ask? When?
Oh, Ramza. His selfless act has now put his own life in danger. Has a brother never loved his sister more?
When I was but a pup, I lived on the streets of Garlemald, or to be more precise, beneath the streets. My home was the Sievers, and my family the countless other orphans who kept to the shadows lest they be carted off to the cerulean mines, or wars. At least they were my home until the Senate voted to seal them off. When the purge came, my brothers and I were given no choice but to flee, and so we ran and we ran, until there was nowhere left to run. Fortunately, a handful of influential families had taken pity on our plight, and demanded that the empire see to the care of these displaced children, for what is a nation's future, if not their children? Or so they argued. The Senate conceded and proposed a system that would provide aid for families that adopted these Sieverlings. It was the Lexentale family that took me in, and for many summers did I work as an errand boy for their troop while going to school and learning to play the lute. I suppose you could say that makes Ramza and I brothers, which is why I cannot bear to think of what I would do if he were not to return. I beg of you, Kanekoti, save him.
Poor Ramza whisked away from under our very whiskers. What poor companions we make, Hugo.
A poor companion would be one who sat around and whimpered while others worked to find a solution to their troubles, Kyoko. We must act. For Ramza. For Dalmasca.
Poor Ramza whisked away from under our very whiskers. What poor companions we make, Hugo.
A poor companion would be one who sat around and whimpered while others worked to find a solution to their troubles, Kyoko. We must act. For Ramza. For Dalmasca.
First Alma, and now Ramza? What does this Ultima want? If a magic rift was necessary to seize Ramza, then it is quite possible that Ultima is still incapable of traveling beyond the bounds of the Orbonne Monastery. However, if auracite is all the High Seraph requires to do so, then we are in grave danger.
The device should have worked. Is Ramza gone because of an error in my calculations?
I will not see the same fate that befell B.A. Gamnon befall young Ramza. We must do something, and quick. Now Ramza is gone? Oh, dearest Tia, what have I done? What have I done?